we're going to grab our binding for our clear zipper pouch. So we've got our clear zipper pouch lower piece, our clear zipper pouch upper piece, our 2 bindings, our 12-inch zipper. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our binding and we are going to draw a straight line down the center. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our paper off and then make this binding meet into the center. Then I'm going to grab the 1/4-inch tape again and I'm going to put it on one side of my binding. I'm going to get my 12 by 8 piece. I'm going to take my paper off. And I know this is going to be hard because it's clear, but you're going to take that top edge and don't put it in the center of your binding, just kind of off a little bit. See, it's not right in the center, it's right here, so that your binding can actually fold over. If you have it directly in the center, it might be harder for your binding to fold over. So just grab a few clips and clip that in place. Okay, there's one. We're going to do the same thing for our upper. Now, if you are using a printed, you've got the clear piece and it's got a little bit of print on it, you're going to have to make sure that you're putting the top binding onto the lower part on the very top, and then the binding on the bottom of your upper clear piece, if that makes any sense. I'll show you in just a second, but if you're using a directional vinyl that might have like a little bit of a print on it, then you're going to have to make sure that you pay attention to that too, because I put one of mine upside down. That's why I wanted to mention it to you guys. Thankfully I caught it before I sewed it. But it happens. Directional prints are so much fun. Alright, I'm going to take my paper off. I'll lay this down. And then I'm going to start flipping it together. Alright, so this is the way that it's going to go in your bag. So if you're using a directional vinyl that has like a little bit of print on it, the binding is going to go on the very top of the lower portion and on the bottom of the upper portion. So just make sure that your print is facing the correct way. Now we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to sew 1/8 of an inch from the top edge. We're leaving this bottom edge open because that's how we're going to sew our zipper on. So let's go do that. Alright, so I have got my stitch length at a 4 and I'm just going to go down each one of them just right along the top, a little less than 1/8 of an inch. I'm just kind of using my foot as a guide, just enough to catch the clear vinyl. Alright, so we have our binding stitched on. The next thing that I did was I put 1/4 of an inch double-sided tape down my zipper. We want to do that so that we can hold our binding onto our zipper. So I'm going to remove the tape. And the best way that I found to do this is to take your zipper tape and put it on the back like this so that you can see what you're doing. You don't want your zipper tape over your binding so that you can see it in the front. The idea is that it's hidden so that you don't see your zipper tape on the front, but it's close enough to the edge that we're going to stitch it down when we do our next line of stitching. And that's just the easiest way I've found to be able to do it so that I can see, you know, what I'm doing. Alright, now that I've got that in place, I'm going to take it back to the sewing machine. Again with the 4 stitch, go 1/8 of an inch from the edge or a little closer to the edge, all the way down here and then all the way down here, and then we'll put our zipper on. Alright, so we've got the 4 stitch length and I'm just kind of using my foot to go along. And I just wanted to show you how it kind of catches it along the edge there. You're going to want to do that on both sides. Alright, so we have got our zipper in there good. Now we need to put our zipper on before we forget. Alright, so I'm going to make it so that my zipper goes on from to the left, because you want your zipper to open to the right, close to the left, so it should look like that. Then I'm going to grab another one of my main panels. I'm going to line up the top of my panel and the side, and I purposely left the bottom a little longer just in case when you're adding the binding on, depending upon where you put it on your zipper, if you were to put it like way too far out, the measurement of this would change. So I went ahead and made the bottom half a little larger so that we can just cut that off depending upon where you're lining up your panel when you're going to sew it together. So you will see that the clear panel is a little larger. I did that on purpose because my testers, when they were doing it, some of them were putting in, the binding a little bit further out from their zipper, and then it was being too short. I figured bigger is better than too short. So I made it a little bit larger. We are going to base stitch all the way around here, and then we're going to trim all of this down. So let's go do that. Got our stitch length at a 4, and then we're just going to kind of follow the main panel all the way around and follow those curves, and then we'll go back and we'll trim that down. Alright, so we have got our main panel sewn onto our clear zipper pocket compartment. We're going to turn it over on the wrong side, and I don't know if you can even see it, but I'm trimming off the clear pieces. Just kind of following that curvature. Our clear compartment panel piece is all finished. We're going to move on to our mirror panel next. Alright, so we are on the mirror panel situation. So you're going to need your 9.5-inch zipper, you're going to need your 2 side pieces, you're going to need your upper piece, your lower piece, your binding, your clear panel, and your main panel. I know that was a lot. If you don't want to do the mirror panel, you could just go ahead and make another clear pocket panel and call that a day. It's up to you. What we're going to do first is we're going to grab our binding and take the paper off, meet this in the center. We're going to do what we just did with the clear pouch on top of our mirror pouch. So you're going to fold down both sides. We're going to need our double-sided tape again. Okay, and we're going to remove the paper. I'm going to do just like we did before, not right in the center, but close to the center. Just like that. And then we're going to clip it down and in place. And then we are going to grab our bottom piece, and we're going to take it and we're going to fold it in half, and then just kind of press it with your fingers along the bottom. The raw edge is going to go on the raw edge of our clear vinyl. So you just want to match up the bottom edge of both your fabric and your clear panel. Now, we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to do 2 things. We're going to sew with a 4 stitch length all the way around the edge at 1/8 inch. Then we're going to sew across here just like we did on the last pouch. Right, so I have got my stitch length at a 4 again. We're going to go around the entire rectangle that we folded in half. Now we're going to sew across the top. Alright, so we've got those two pieces sewn on. This is going to be the front. You'll be able to tell if it's the back if you see the clear panel behind your fabric. Alright, then we're going to take our upper piece and we're going to fold that in half and press it. And hang on to that for just a minute. We're going to grab our zipper and you're going to put double-sided tape on both sides. We're going to do just like we did with our last panel and connect this. So I'm going to turn everything around, making sure that this is my back side. I'm going to put my zipper on just like that. Then I'm going to take the one that I have folded over and I'm going to remove the paper. And then I'm not going to put it that close to my zipper. Hopefully you can see that. You're going to need to put it about 1/4 of an inch, like right on the edge of that. You want room for your zipper to move back and forth. So it should look like that. And if you want to double check before you go any further, line up your panel to your top and make sure that it matches up and it's not too short or anything like that, because you might need to move that. Some of my testers found that if they put the top piece too close to the edge of the zipper, then their panel was too big. If they put it too close to the zipper, their panel was too small. So you're going to have to figure out that sweet spot of 1/4 inch of the edge of your zipper. So there's about 1/4 of an edge of the fabric underneath of that zipper. So now we're going to go to the sewing machine. We're going to sew across here. Alright, with a 4 stitch length, we're just going to sew. I'm going to base stitch the side here closed. And then 1/8 of an inch down our zipper. Alright, we've got our panel all done. Now I went and grabbed my main panel and I folded it in half, made a snip at the top, made a snip at the bottom. And then I folded it the other direction. Made a snip at the side, snip at the side. You're going to need these on all of your main panels. If you want to, go ahead and make all the snips now. Then I took this panel, folded it in half, made a snip, folded it in half down here, made a snip. That way I can find the center of my panel to the center of the piece that I'm getting ready to put down. Now we're going to grab the zipper. We're going to go ahead and put our zipper on. We want to make sure it's closing to the left, opening to the right. We got our zipper on. Now we can put these two together. Alright, so line up the bottom center marks. And then line up the top center marks. And what we're going to do is we're going to base stitch these on. So let's go do that. Still got our stitch length to a 4. We're going to connect the top. And now we're going to connect the bottom. We've got our 2 panels connected. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our 2 side pieces. And what you're going to do is right side to right side, match up along that vinyl, clear vinyl edge, and clip them together. There's no other way to clip this together except for in the center. Put your other side to right side. And we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we are going to sew 1/4 of an inch down this side and then 1/4 of an inch down this side. Alright, I've got my stitch length back to a 3. we're just going to sew 1/4 inch. Now we're going to change our stitch length to a 4, and we're going to take this flap and pull it back just like that, and then we're going to top stitch across there. Now that we've got that done, it looks straight across. We need it to have our little rounded edges, and I left them straight because some of them would make it all the way to the edges and some of them wouldn't. It just depends on what seam allowance you're going to use. If you're using a little bit accidentally over 1/4 inch, your side piece isn't going to fold over enough to cover everything. So I left it the way that it was so you guys could go back and round them out later on. What I'm going to do is I am going to base stitch around my main panel and just kind of follow that as my guide, 1/8 of an inch around the edge. I have a sneaky suspicion I'm running out of bobbin. I have a sneaky suspicion. Alright, and then on the other side do the same thing. Ow. And then we'll take that to the desk and we will trim it off just like we did the last one. Alright, now we need to trim the edges so that they'll be nice and rounded. Alright, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab our panel and then our elastic and work on our elastic section. Alright, we're to our elastic panel. So we're going to have our panel and we're going to have 2 pieces of elastic that are going to go all the way across our panel. The first measurement that we're going to measure is 6.5 inches up from the very bottom of our panel. We're going to take one end of our elastic and we're going to clip it in place. If you want, you could put a pin in the center if you wanted to, but every time I did that, it kind of would like pull one string out of my elastic and it just had it like a bump in it. It was really annoying. So I'm just using the clips on the side. So the first measurement is 6.5 and then we're going to do 3.5. Okay, now you're going to need some sort of marking tool that will erase, or you don't care. If it shows up, it's up to you. I am also going to grab my little measuring board because that will help this out a lot. Alright. Now the very first measurement that we're going to make is 1.5 inches. And I'm just going to make a mark right there. Then I'm going to move my ruler 1 inch. Now these can be different measurements. If there's something specific that you're using, you can always make these measurements different. I just wanted you to have sections inside of here. That way you can put things that you need to. That's 1. Alright, so we've got 1.5, 1, 1.5. And we're just going back and forth between 1 inch and 1.5 inches. Again, you can do whatever you are more comfortable with. If you want to do them all 1 inch, that's fine. Just depends on what you're using this for. Alright, your last one is going to be a 2-inch one, but you could go ahead and put another inch in there if you want to. It's just up to you. Now we're going to take this to the sewing machine. Alright, I have got a 3 stitch length. I'm going to go through and I'm going to sew on each of the elastics. So I'm going to do the top one, go forward, go back, go forward. Pull it through. And the trick to this is making sure it lines up right. Okay. So you're going to do that on all of your marks. So you're going to go forward, back, forward, pull your pressure foot up, go to the next one, and then just do that all the way down. Alright, so we have got our elastic all attached and ready to go. The next thing you need to do is cut all your threads going down the center and then all your threads going down the center and the back. Then you get the fun task of pulling all of the threads from the front to the back. And you're going to need to clean all your threads up, burn the ends and all that, all the way down. Alright, so I have finally got all of my threads cut and tied and burned and all of that is ready to go. Next thing I'm going to do is we're going to be working on the top. Now, you can do one of two things. In the written instructions, I tell you to fold your Peltex in half and stick it in later on. One of my testers decided to use foam on her lid just to kind of see if it would give it a firmer top. We're going to give it a go. I'm going to give it a go around and show you guys what I think. I may still put some Peltex in the center. I'm not entirely sure. But I did get the foam that doesn't have the adherence, and I wouldn't be able to adhere it anyway because it's vinyl. So I am just going to base stitch the foam to my vinyl real quick, and then we'll use this as like one piece to have to work with. Now that I've got my foam attached to my very top of my bag, don't forget that if you are using a directional print, you need to make sure that you designate one side or the other as the back of the bag, and don't forget that that's it. You also need to go ahead, fold this in half, and put your center marks on both the top and the bottom, and then on both sides.